5 minutes, okay. We'll have to talk fast. What questions are there? Yes?
What defines a short barrel rifle?
It's the it's not the length of the rifle itself, it's just the length of the barrel. And so you could actually have a rifle that is longer in one respect because it's got a longer stock, but this bill actually gets rid of all of those length requirements that are there. And because it's a short barrel rifle and it is under a specific length, you actually have to get federal permission still, even with this bill, still to buy one, but it actually legalizes it in Washington State. So I could show you pictures and send you some. It's better to send you like this diagram that we have of the pictures of it, but think of like what you see John Wayne carrying that was for horseback riding. It's really it's about that long for a barrel, and that's what we're talking about. Yeah, it's just the length of the barrel. That's all.
And what's the minimum length?
Go ahead.
I can.
Go ahead. I can't remember how to talk.
So right now the law is 16 inches, and that's measured from the closed bolt face forward.
Right.
So this will allow you to have under that 16 inches. So if you want an AR-15 that's got a 7-inch barrel, you're good to go. And actually, the ones that you're talking about, the John Wayne rifles, Rossi sells them. They're called a ranch hand, and they're legal. They sell them as pistols.
And this would
But
allow,
as long as it doesn't have a stock,
as long as it
it's
doesn't
got
have a stock, this will allow you to
pistol
have a
grip.
stock.
So this
Yeah.
will allow you to have a full stock with a short barrel.
As an interesting twist of history, by the way, it was Senator Hatfield that introduced the bill, and there's actually a Senator McCoy that refused to sign on. This is a total interesting twist of history.
Not too rich.
That's good.
So, what other questions are there? A couple more.
the real
Yeah, Mr. Shea, I was curious, with there's supposed to be a hearing on any new bills in the legislature now, in January.
Yes.
That DREAM Act, the House came together, or the Senate maybe it was. And they passed that DREAM Act within a few hours of the first session of the year.
So there are two things that if we were in charge, I would entertain rule changes, and specifically not having any waiting period. I mean, we literally got to session, and the first day of session voted the DREAM Act, which is the tuition assistance to illegal immigrants, out of the House. And we got there, it shows up, and we vote. The other process that they do that I really detest is when they do striking amendments, and literally the paper is still hot, hits our desk, and we're voting on it in 5 minutes, and it's this thick. I have a practice of just generally voting no on that kind of stuff, so, and I know a lot of the Freedom folks do too. Yeah.
Is that signed into law now by the governor?
The DREAM Act? I think he did already sign it. Yep, he did. Yeah. Which is another whole horrible story, but I'm trying to stay positive today. Yes, Aileen?
Could you talk briefly on how important letters to the editors might be?
For all of us? Well, the spokesman review is not... well, first of all, they're not our friend. But secondly, they've had... When we actually show up and counter them, the letters to the editor, we counter them on Facebook, we actually make a difference, not only in swaying people's opinion, but also the spokesman review, based on some of the stuff we did this last year and a half, actually had to pull down 3 articles because of posts we put on Facebook to challenge them. So letters to the editor are really important because people read 3 things. They read the sports, they read the comics, and they read the letters to the editor. So they may not read any other thing in the fish wrapper, but that's what they read.
Yeah.
So, yes.
If you want to join a group of people who are trying to make a difference through letters to the editor, you need to contact Steve Neal, and he's really good at that himself, and he can help people. He will not write for you, which is really excellent. And if you need his number, I'd be happy to pass it on. He's given me permission to do that.
And it's good too, to highlight certain races that don't get a lot of attention, like the assessor's race, the treasurer's race, the auditor race. And the auditor's race particularly because there have to be some reforms in our auditor's office to have me feel comfortable that we actually have secure elections.
I just wanted to make a comment. I do read letters to the editor, and I know a lot of people do. And it's really frustrating when you see, there's teams of people just rotating all the senseless, no make sense comments that have no basis in reality, and the conservative people who look at that and say, yeah, they don't. But if we did have that happen, I think it would be quite interesting and shocking, and it would be a good thing, that's all. If they do it on the other side, we're not so much.
It's an opportunity to educate people, just like with my Democrat colleagues, we're talking about drones. And then let's talk a little bit about some other things like hemp. Let's talk a little bit about lowering taxes on businesses. And it opens the door for so many different conversations to do that. So I will take one more question, and then I will turn it back over. There's not one more question.
When do we get fully automatic?
There's a plan for that too. So we've been doing this incrementally. So first we got noise suppressors, then we went for short barrel rifles. Next year we're going to go for short barrel shotguns. And then the year after that, we're going to go for rapid fire. We got to figure out the messaging on this.
Then we just need to repeal the NFA. And
then you repeal NFA. Once you've done that, because then it basically is repealed anyways. So that's our plan going forward. I think we discussed that the other day. But I want to thank you all for being so supportive of the Freedom Agenda. I really want to thank you for being here tonight, and I want to thank you also for your prayers, especially for me and my wife. My wife's family is an hour away from the Russian army massing in Belgorod. They're in Kharkov, Ukraine, which is the second largest city in Ukraine. So I really appreciate your prayers. My brother-in-law, he's a pastor of one of the largest churches over there, and I want to paint a picture for you. Imagine this in America. They're going every morning, the Christians, kneeling down in the city squares and praying to God in front of everyone for peace in Ukraine. Imagine if we did that here in America. Wow. So anyway, God bless. Appreciate it.